Yo, happy Wednesday. How's it going, y'all? As always, sorry for the late start. I like scratched my eye when I woke up this morning. It's an incredible superpower I have where if I wake up too quickly and I rip my eyelids open, like if I just open my eyes very suddenly, occasionally I scratch my eye while doing that. It's kind of incredible. So I can't see great out of my left eye today, which is fine. It's not like we're programming, right? All right, so what we're gonna do today, I had like a change of heart, not a change of heart. I've thought of a slightly different way I want to do the cutaway, which should be easy because we're kind of going backwards. We've tried a few different things out. Yesterday, what we set up was like a recursive, like every compartment that obscures the compartment that I want to click on gets cut away. But the recursive, it like opens up too much because it's like, here's the compartment I want to click on or look at. So we'll cut away all the compartments that obscure that compartment. But then we need to cut out all the compartments that obscure those compartments. So we end up doing this recursive cutaway. And it's like too much. So we're gonna go back. I kind of know what I want to do. I want to say, okay, I'm clicking in this compartment. I guess I could do this visually. That might be easier to tell what's happening. Assuming I didn't break something last night. I was fiddling around with this as I was thinking about it. So, like, the way I want this to work is like, we have a few compartments. What I want to do is like, so let's say we want to look in this compartment. I want to cut away this compartment and the compartments in front of it, which would be these two. And then I want to use that shape of these three compartments as like a mask. And every time we basically, and then we create like a tunnel as you look in. Because this is just one floor, right? There could be like 3 or 4 levels above this. So we're going to use that as a mask, and we're basically going to tunnel backwards from that compartment towards the camera. So like that shape of like this compartment and these two compartments. Basically this compartment and whatever compartment obscures it. We'll make a shape of that, and then we will offset it as we go up and towards the camera so that you see this tunnel into the ship. And hopefully that's a nice compromise between like getting to see the exterior of the ship and getting to see inside of it. I think that could be cool. The other thing I wanted to do, right now we're building a list of compartments for a ship. And the way we're building the list is with a U-long. So we're using it as a bit field. So it's like you can only have 64 compartments. And I don't love that. But I need to be able to, I can't just use an index because I need to be able to, a block could belong to up to 4 compartments. And so I need to be able to capture that. But I'm thinking if the limit is actually 4, like if each block can only ever be connected to 4 compartments, then we could do like a vector. Like we could just have a vector for each block that represents like the compartments that it belongs to, and then those individual components of that vector, those could just be integers. Those could just be, indexes or whatever. They don't have to be, bits. So that would be an easy way to remove the limitation. I don't want to leave a limitation in. Because while 64 compartments is a lot when you think about whole rooms, it becomes less of a lot when you start to think of like every hallway or antechamber or closet or any individual sealed off like little section will be considered a compartment. And I feel like you could get the 64 pretty quickly that way. Hey, Diginanigans, how's it going? How are you doing? So I'm thinking about that as an alternative. And we could just have compartments as its own 3D buffer. It could be like block components or block compartments. We could also put it on the block struct itself. I don't know. We got to think about, in my gut, I want a block to be pretty small. Like a block already. It already has a vector 4 for the face, which I don't love. I kind of need to rethink that. Right now it just has one enum for its form, a ulong for the parts, and a vector 4 for the face. So, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that an entry here should be small. And if values are combined together, it should only be because those values are used together. That's kind of my principle when I'm coming up with like component designs. So I'm not 100% sure how I want to structure that. I do want to have like a compartment buffer that may or may not be 3D. Not too bad, another heavy work day today. I feel that. I think I'm starting to come out the other side of that, but still working through it. I keep having people telling me what's on like the horizon of stuff to do, and I'm like, please, Lord, just give me some breathing room. I have all these like process improvements that I'm working on, and I say working on that I would like to work on, that I have planned out and I'm in progress, but it's like I need time to work on them. And once I'm able to do that, then I'll have a ton more time because I'll have automated a bunch of stuff. But it's like first you have to find the time to do the process improvement before you can reap the reward. If you just have a bunch of those process improvements left midway through because they're like medium priority, then it's like, why bother? I don't know. That's just me. That's me venting. So yesterday I looked at this. I had this realization. We have like an entity for every single one of these, even though these all refer to the same space. Like the settle blocks entity, the preview blocks entity, the merging blocks entity. Well, I guess maybe this one belongs to a different space, but I feel like I should have fewer entities. Although, no, I guess they have to be different entities because each entity is only going to be able to have one block buffer component. All right, that makes sense. Let me get rid of this to-do. That's why they're all different entities. So I'm thinking of making a compartment 3D. Sort of collection of information. Right now, we're building out this compartment hierarchy. And that's what we did over the last few days. And it's this value that basically represents, here are all the compartments that obscure our compartment from a given angle. I kind of like that, and I kind of like that as a bit field. That would make certain things really easy. But that also is predicated on the idea that we're limited to 64 compartments per ship. And I just don't want to introduce that restriction. Part of me says like maybe 64 is fine. Maybe maybe we won't ever even get to 64 compartments. Maybe like building a ship that large is like a bad idea from a usability standpoint. So I'm not sold on that. But what I want to do today is I want to get the access on. I want to get a different system plugged in. Not a different system. I want a different representation of the compartments, or even the same representation. I want to do the thing I described at the beginning, where we make a mask of the compartment we're clicking into and the compartments immediately next to it. So what we're going to do that in the tile system because that's a view dependent thing. So we're going to do it in the tile system. All right. So I'm torn between using axis aligned bounding boxes or not, because I can think of cases where an axis aligned bounding box is like misrepresentative and will like cause some issues. Like if we have like something weird like something like this will be like misidentified. The bounding box will go all the way out to here. What I could do is use the bounding boxes as a search area. So we say, okay, here's a compartment. Here's the bounding box associated with it. This contains all of the blocks. But that doesn't necessarily mean every block in the bounding box. So like any blocks in here would be in the bounding box, but aren't actually part of this compartment. Just imagine there's walls. So we could use the AABB as a search area. And so we could say, okay, the cursor's in here. The block that's in this cursor belongs to this or these compartments. These compartments have this bounding box. So let's look at those compartments. But the thing is, we have to run the tile system over every single block anyway. So that's maybe not like necessary. We could just say, here are the compartments. And then as we search all of the other blocks, as we go through every block, we can just say, okay, are you part of this compartment or one of these compartments? Great. If you are, project forward some number of tiles. Project forward maybe one tile in each direction. If you find a different compartment, then maybe project 3 tiles from there. All of those compartments should be cut away. Any other compartments you run into should be added to the list. It's a little messy. That also has the potential to be kind of a recursive function then, huh? Because we'd be finding compartments that we need to cut away. And then we need to make this shape like I'm describing. We need this shape, which could honestly just be like a dictionary. You can make a dictionary of all the blocks that would need to be cut out. And then as we go up and over towards the camera, we can cut away any of those blocks. And that can just be a dictionary because that can just all exist in the tile system, which means we want to kind of start from the bottom and work our way up, huh? So in the fill system, we can still do all this compartment stuff for now. What we really want to do we kind of want to go backwards a little bit. We want to build a cutaway mask. Hey, Anonymous, how's it going? Let me have some of my coffee. I think my coffee's about to die. Oh, yeah. That is thick coffee. But we need it, so we're going to drink it. How's everyone doing today? All right. So clearly what I want to do is I want to work forwards, quote unquote. I want to work back from the actual cursor coordinate, like the coordinate the mouse cursor's on. I want to figure out what block that is. I want to figure out what compartments that block is in. And then I want to do a search. We could start by searching that sea level, but eventually we'll need to search more than just that sea level. Actually, no, maybe we just do that sea level. So let's think about how we would structure that. So we're going to say... I'm gonna say something like private void cutaway. Maybe we'll call it like block cutaway mask or something like that. And we'll need the block buffer. So we could say vector3i cursor equals game.input.cursor coords. Say if not blocks.contains cursor. Oh lord. Cursor return. We don't want to do this for each key thing. We want to go by block right at the moment. So what we can do is we can say I kind of want to make the mask just a dictionary. I think I mentioned that before. So I'm just going to make a mask. Private read-only dictionary. Vector 3i. Why is it a dictionary? Shouldn't it just be a hash set? Vector 3i. Cutaway mask. Maybe I'll call it block mask. Say block. Say block mask clear. All right, so what we need to do is we're going to say for each vector 3i coords in blocks. Oh, that's not IEnumerable for a block. We would say blocks.aabb. I don't know. I want to make the buffer IEnumerable, but I would probably want it to be IEnumerable by the block, not the coordinate. So if we want to iterate the coordinates, we have to do it this way. Okay, so we need more information than this blocks contains cursor thing. We can say block. We can say like, I don't want to call it cursor block. Maybe I'll call it cursor block. I can call these cursor coords. So cursor block is just blocks.get. Can I just do this? Can I say if not blocks.try_get cursor coords out cursor block out block cursor block? Instead of doing the contains and then get, we can just try get. So now we've got the cursor block. And now I need the set of compartments that the cursor block belongs to. So right now that's just a bit field, which is fine. Onofris. What's an FTL? It's a game. FTL, faster than light. It's a classic spaceship management game. It's top-down 2D, pixel art. It's about managing a spaceship as you go through a series of encounters. And we're working on like an isometric 3D version of that game. So we're trying to make a little cute isometric 3D, still pixel art version of this game. You know, what if we go back to having a ship size limit that's like really strict? Like because we've kind of opened up. So this is the old 15 by 15 by 5 ship scale. We could probably go more than 5. I might even go less, though. Because the thing is, if we do that this way, then we can always show 2 ships on screen at the same time. We recently unlocked it to be like 64 by 64 by 8. We like made it huge. And I'm like tempted to go back to small. And if we stick small like this, then having a 64 compartment size or 64 compartment limit is like super reasonable. Because that would be because a 64 compartment, assuming we allow something like this. Let's say we allow something like 16 by 16. I'm kind of tempted to keep it 15 by 15 though. But let's just say for argument's sake, we let it be like 16 by 16 by 4. Then that would be, we could have a 4 by 4 compartments by 4, and we'd still be within the 64 compartment limit. That limits creativity a lot though, and expression if we implement something like that. But it would be nice for the zoom out. See, thanks for clarifying. Thank you, Onofris. On Nofris. We're kind of having a somewhat listless day here. I know what I want to do. We're working on our cutaway system, which lets us view into the ship, kind of the way you'd see a ship cutaway in like a naval ship diagram book or like a Wes Anderson film. We're working on that, and we've tried like 3 or 4 different things to varying levels of success. So we're trying out something new. Trying out something else, because we have this 3D ship builder where we kind of build these compartments. We can like subdivide and do all this stuff. But I don't totally love the way we view into these ships, especially if we think of them as being multiple stories. So that's kind of what we're working on. Is how to do that in a way that's more satisfying. So right now it works basically just immediately around the cursor. And it cuts things away, anything away that's in front of the cursor, but we don't love that. We tried doing it per compartment, and we went a little too far, so now we're going kind of in between. Where if you're mousing into this compartment, I want all the walls in front of the compartment to go away. And I think I want you to be able to see all the compartments in front of that compartment. But I'm thinking through the consequences of that. What is easier, more efficient for you to... Was it easier, more efficient for you to make this game in Godot? I love Godot. I especially love Godot for its pixel art stuff. So even though the game looks kind of like it's a 3D space, it's actually being done in 2D using tile map layers. So for a 2D pixel art game, I can't think of anything I'd rather use than Godot, because the transform system is like per pixel. So like you have pixel perfect placement, pixel perfect physics, pixel perfect rendering. It's not like when you try to do the same thing in like Unity or even Unreal, where it's like you're just constraining a 3D engine to like pretend that it's 2D. With Godot, you get an actual 2D engine. And like, I don't know, I might have been able to use Game Maker, but I just really enjoy Godot. All right, so hey, Rhiannon Journey, how's it going? All right. Sorry, I feel kind of spacey today. So we want to do the thing I already described. In a journey, you just got out of a work meeting. Unfortunately, Digital Iliad is streaming live on Twitch is not a valid excuse to skip. I wish that was a valid excuse for me to skip work meetings too. Meeting declined because I am currently live on Twitch and YouTube. All right, let's keep what we've got, which is this bit field compartment list. Let's not presume that that's inadequate. I have an idea of how to change the structure if it becomes inadequate. Let's not do it. So let's... I think we're just going to iterate through. We're just going to iterate through and build a mask. So we're going to... So instead of going for every... Let's do the thing where we go... Let's do this. So where is this? So... Let's do this. where we define a start and an end point. And let's start by just operating on the Z axis, on the Z index level that the cursor is at. So instead of doing the full for every coordinate in the blocks thing, let's just say, let's define a start point. It's going to be blocks.getIndex blocks.aabb.minimum with Z equals cursor towards.z. And then we'll end with a blocks.getIndex blocks.aabb with Z equals cursor towards.z. I wonder if I should have like a slice function that lets me define something like this, where I can just get like a smaller span. I wonder if I could do something like that. I mean, I could just slice the span further down, or I could just index into it. I guess it doesn't matter. It'd be interesting to try doing it that way. Still working on the cutaway today. Yeah, we're trying. I think we did too much yesterday when we tried to do our recursive, like every compartment that blocks a compartment that blocks a compartment that blocks the compartment that we like want to look at. I think that just like ballooned out of control, and it ended up with most compartments being cut away. And I think that was too much. What I'm thinking about doing is defining a smaller area around the cursor coordinates, which is just going to be like the compartment your cursor is in, plus maybe any directly adjacent compartments in front of it. Like one, instead of recursively do it, you just do once. And then I think we're going to build a mask out of that, like a shape of all of that. And we're going to use that to basically cut chunks out as we approach the camera. So like that would allow us to dig into and like almost tunnel into the ship and view a specific area. And I think that'd be a nice compromise of like situational awareness in the specific space you're looking at, as well as like showing the rest of the ship. And I think that's the thing I'm not happy with regarding all the other different ways that we've been doing the cutaway so far, is I feel like either you don't have enough context of what's going on around your cursor, or we're just cutting away the whole ship. So like, what's the point? So we're trying to hit like a sweet spot, and I think this next approach will get us pretty close. It sounds cool. Thanks. I'm also thinking about limiting the maximum ship size again to something a little more reasonable. We blew it up to basically be like endless, and now you need to like move the camera around to be able to see all of it. I'm torn between doing that like huge, allowing for like big ships, versus like generally restricting ships to be much smaller, so that they like pretty much all like can be visible on screen all at once. I gotta think about that some more. Because we've introduced a hard limit on the number of compartments that a ship can have, because we're using this U-long bit field. So we can basically only have 64 compartments. And there's a size of ship where 64 compartments is more than reasonable, and there's a size of ship at which like we're gonna hit that limit. So I don't know. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say for I is start, I is less than or equal to end. Is that right? Is that how we do that up here? I is less than end. Okay. Where did I put this function? Where did I put the function we're working on? Oh, here. I need to organize my code soon. So we're just gonna only work on the single Z layer. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna say if fit.has any. So we need to do this in 2 passes. We need to do one pass where we find all of the blocks that directly belong to the core component, and then we need to do a second pass where we go through all the compartments, not components, the compartments that are in front, that are just one series in front of that compartment. Sounds cool. You can start small and then an expansion or something have bigger ship space stations, like a Borg cube. Like a Borg cube would hit that compartment limit. Yeah. The thing that I'm thinking about is what does it look like on screen? And I like kind of I don't really want to support a ship that is so big that you can't see all of it on screen at once. At least substantially. So like this is a 15 by 15 by 5 block. I could see myself opening it up a little bit more. Like I could see myself, like right now we support 64 by 64 by 8. I might limit that down to like 32 by 32 by something. I just want most ships to be mostly viewable. I at least want them to be entirely viewable in the zoomed out, because we have the half scale zoom out. And like in an ideal world, you'd be able to see both your ship and the ship that you're squaring off against on the same screen. But I would settle for you can at least see one ship on the screen. So like if we doubled this to like 32 by 32 by something, that would probably take up like the whole screen. I don't want to test that right now because I can't really be bothered. I guess I could. I guess I could be bothered. Duplicate. I'm gonna call this 32. by 32. Zoomed out copy. So that would mean taking like 2 of these and like adding them onto each other. Oop. Hide that. So that would mean like combining these. So that's 30. And then so we basically need to 1, 2. So I'd be more comfortable supporting this size, something like this. Why is that not a cube? Oh, because it's not big enough, right? I need to do the same thing again. I need to expand this by exactly 2. So this is 32 by 32 by 5. I could probably bring it up to 8. I like depth. I want to support depth. If I did something like this, that's too many. That's 8. So like this is 32 by 32 by 8. I feel like we could reasonably support this. And this would be the zoomed out view. So this would be like exterior only. 54. That looks like a lot of space to build in. Yeah, I think that's a ton of space to build in. It's not as claustrophobic as like this. And in fact, if you were zoomed in, you would not be able to see all of that ship at once. But then at least when you're zoomed out, you could see all of it. And if you like tabbed over to look at another ship, you could maybe see the corner of your ship or something. Like maybe you see the corner of your ship and then the other ship is like over here. It feels... The other thing I want to keep in mind is like this would be the extreme limit. And so like my own designs, you don't have to use all the space. I'm just thinking about what I want to support on the upper end. I'm just thinking about this stuff because I think a ship of this size, I think the limit is a little... The 64 compartment limit, I think would be... Oh, I think we might hit it with a ship of this size because a compartment is anything. It's like a corridor, a closet, a room, anything that's sealed into its own space. So yeah, I think I would prefer if you could see two ships squared up like this. But I am worried that it's just too small. Like, this doesn't feel like a huge buildable area. It would be if walls had no thickness, like in FTL. Like in FTL, a wall is the space between grid places. In our game, a wall is itself a grid position, like it's a whole block. So it means there's a lot less space to work with. I don't know. I think we just need to try it. We need to try it and see. I mean, this would look super cool, like a big battleship that takes up this whole size. I mean, we could make it so that, like, the vast majority of ships are this size, but, like, maybe like a big boss or something that, like, requires multiple ships to fight it could, like, be this size. Or a space station or whatever could be this size. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking about stuff today. Trying to decide if the compartment limit's actually a problem. So what we can do is we can iterate through this Z layer. We can ask if a bit has any. So we can say blocks.get I cursor block dot parts. Why does blocks dot get I doesn't... Oh, dot parts. Parts is short for compartment. Which I know is super dumb, but no. Don't worry about it. All right, so what we can do is we can say... I had some other ways of doing this. So we can get our neighboring blocks, like we do down here. Oops, that is very much the wrong function. Where's our function? Mask, here we go. So if we are part of this compartment, so if not, we can just continue. View absolute. I can't put I would have to say blocks.get coords I. This is kind of a mess, but it's fine. So we're just going to look forward. So if we find a block that belongs to one of these compartments, we do want to add that to the mask. So we can say block mask dot. We can say block mask. Oh, we probably want to get the coords, huh? Vector 3i block coords equals blocks dot get coords I. Let's just do that. Oh, we need to say add or triad or something. And here, instead of blocks.get coords, we can just say block coords. I know it looks like I have two different coffee cups. This one is water, I promise. Water tastes really good. That's probably a sign I'm dehydrated. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to check our neighboring blocks. So if we can do this check down here as well, we can say... We can do this. We can say if bit.has only... So if we combine these parts together with our... I'm going to say ulong cursor parts equals cursor block dot parts. So we can say if not bit.has only, or no, if bit has only block parts. So if this is part of the interior space, we don't need to do anything else. Otherwise, we need to check our neighbors to see what other parts have been included here. I also need a cutaway parts thing. Cutaway. I'm going to say ulong adjacent parts. Because we want to add additional compartments for the second pass. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So here we can say adjacent parts. We can say bit dot set. So what we're going to do is we're going to say adjacent parts equals bit dot set. And so we're going to set adjacent parts with bit dot clear. So we want to clear away our own, so we want to clear block parts. We want to take positive x block dot parts. So we want to take our neighbor parts, or them together. But we want to remove cursor parts. So the parts that are actually in. So this means we'd be adding all of the parts that aren't these. And then we can do a second pass and find all of the blocks that belong to these compartments, and we won't do the same thing again. We would just add them to the mask. And I think in the vast majority of cases, that will be enough. We also want another thing. We want a ulong. This doesn't need to be read-only. We want a private ulong, and we want to call that mask parts. And that's just the compartments that belong to the mask. We can mess around with what that means as far as which compartments to add there. If we just add the core cursor compartments, or if we add additional compartments. So we can call this, we can say first pass to mask the blocks in the cursor, mask the coords in the cursor blocks compartments. And we're gonna, down here, we're gonna do a second pass. Second pass to mask the coords in compartments blocking the cursor. That's super confusing way to phrase that, but it makes sense to me. I shouldn't use the word blocking. I should say obscuring. Second pass to mask the chords in compartments, obscuring the cursor blocks compartments. Because we don't have like each compartment doesn't have a list of like all the blocks that belong to it, because that's insane. We do it, it's ground up, so each block knows what compartments it's part of, and that's sufficient for us for this purpose. It does mean we have to do the iteration like this. So, well, for one thing, is the first pass done? So we get the coordinates of this block. We get the parts of this block, the compartments. We say, are any of the cursor compartment bits set on this block? If it's not, then we're not concerned with it at this stage, and we just continue. Otherwise, we add these chords to the mask, and we get the 2 blocks in front of this block. We ask whether those blocks are part of an interior space or if they are like the edge of this compartment. Okay, so we get those positive. If those are interior spaces, we continue. Otherwise, we add these. We add the unique compartments of these 2 blocks minus the cursor's compartments, the cursor block compartments, so the compartment we're actually mousing over. And then now we can do a second pass. So for, yeah. So we'll do that again. So instead of calling this adjacent parts, this could actually just be, so we have our mask parts. That could just, we could just reset that to 0. And then instead of assigning to a separate variable, we could just say mask parts. And then so here what we're going to say is, except we're not checking, here we're going to be checking against the mask parts. I guess, wait, maybe it's not the mask parts. Maybe we did need the adjacent one. Because the adjacent parts... That's different than the mask parts. The mask parts are all of the compartments that belong to the mask. Whereas the adjacent parts are just the parts that don't belong to the cursor block, but which directly obscure. I should probably call them like obscuring parts or something like that instead of adjacent. Why do I care? Why do I need to know what the mask parts are? I don't remember. I don't remember why I thought I needed a member variable for that. Hopefully it'll be obvious. Yeah, we're just gonna call it adjacent parts for now. I can't think of another way. Matthew Barry, you see FTL-like, you tune in, plain and simple. Thank you. Yeah, we're working on an isometric 3D kind of version of FTL. We're working on the cutaway system. Because it's isometric 3D, you can peer into the ships. So we're working on some more sophisticated ways to do that. Because right now it's very rudimentary. By the way, I love your work. I'm gonna pretend that you're Matt Berry, the British actor. Love Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
But it's not a thing about making it accurate. It's a thing about making it feel right.
I can't anymore with this artist with all these spoken word interludes. On that radio, which drives me insane. I can kind of show you what the kind of problem that we're trying to address. So you can build like a 3D space. Like, let's just build a simple one with like 4 or 5 floors. Doesn't really matter. Fill the space. Hollow it out into a bunch of different rooms. So here's a bunch of rooms. Right now, so if you're just looking at this block and you're like, I want to look in this room. This is just how you do it. And it's like, okay to do it this way, but I'm trying some other stuff because we're going to have a lot more rooms than this, right? There's going to be like there's going to be a lot more compartments. So at the moment, we don't really have a compartment-based cutaway, but that's what I want to do. If you're like looking at a compartment, I want you to be able to fully see this compartment and a compartment that's like in front of it. Just for a little more context. And then we're working on a tunneling system that lets you see further up and out without showing everything. Because I still want you to be able to see some of the outside of the ship. I don't want just the whole ship to have to get sliced off every time you're looking at stuff. So we're working on an alternative model that's not based on just cursor coordinates. It's more based around the construction of the compartments nearby. So that's kind of what we're working on right now. We've tried a few different approaches. I've turned most of them off, which is why only the cursor cutaway one is working right now. D. Indeed. All right, so we're doing the first pass. We need to go through the second pass. So second pass. So what we're asking here is if not bit dot has any block parts, and this is where we put in adjacent parts. Continue. This coordinate to the block mask. And we do the same thing where we get the positive neighbors. This part's exactly the same. Actually I actually don't know if we need to do the second part. No, we actually don't need to do this part here. We can just do an abbreviated version of it. Are you going for randomly generated ships or dedicated maps? So I think most of the ships, I don't think we're gonna do procedurally generated ships. We might do little bits like decoration or something like that, or like little bits of procedural generation. But the ships are going to be handmade. This editor tool is a runtime editor tool. So this is an editor tool that runs in-game. So the game is running, and I can just build this stuff. So I at least want this tool to be accessible for, like, modders, if not end users. But, I mean, what is a modder? You know, but an end user who wants to make stuff. So I want to have in-game modding support where you can build your own ships and script your own encounters and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to eat, they call it like dog fooding, where like I'm just building my tools so that they run in-game so that other people could use them down the line. Because I'm like a small indie, there's only so much content that I'm going to be able to produce. But if I can build systems and tools that other people can use, then maybe we can still have a very, very rich, engaged community that can do stuff, that can make their own little Star Trek adventure kind of deals. But yeah, there will be a lot of hand-authored ships and hand-authored encounters. And if there's procedural randomness, it would just be in maybe how some of those encounters are stitched together, like in terms of like maybe when you're generating like the galaxy map or whatever the equivalent for like whatever the equivalent for like FTL's like star sector map or whatever, where you can like pick where you want to go next. I think ours is going to be less connected by like jump points and more connected by like story. So maybe you'll get missions, or you'll be out exploring or stuff like that, and like you can jump to different places, and the campaigns will be more stitched together through like story beats, I'm thinking. But I think procedural generation is at its best when it's connective tissue between hand-authored elements. So like you hand build the individual things, and then the procedural generation is about connecting those things together in a way that's unique and novel and stuff like that. So that's probably more what my approach is going to be. All right, so we get to the end of this function. We have a block mask. What do I want this mask parts things for? Do I actually need this? For a minute I thought I did, and now I can't think of what its use case would be, so I'm gonna just get rid of it. If we need it again, we can remake it. So this will be, so we'll make our mask, our block mask here for the cutaway. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to have a follow-up function I guess it doesn't need to be a separate function. It could. So we make the mask, and then we mask. I don't know. Mask cutaway blocks. Oh. So we've got our mask, and this has coordinates in it of all of the blocks on the Z level that the cursor's at. So the idea of this is that, oh, I remember why we need the parts, the mask parts thing. This doesn't really need to be a member variable, does it? This could be a ulong. So we can say it's a variable mask parts equals, we can say ulong. Ulong mask parts equals 0. And then at the bottom, well, here we can say mask parts. We can say bit dot set. We can say mask parts equals bit dot set. Well, actually, first off, it could just be cursor parts. So we set the mask parts to the cursor parts at first. And then down here, whenever we do this, here we can actually say mask parts equals bit dot set mask parts adjacent parts. So these are all of the compartments in the mask. I'm trying to decide how aggressively I want to mask away parts. Where are all these errors? Oh. I don't even need to generate this. Here we could just say return 0. Here we could say and down here we can say just return bit dot set cursor parts and adjacent parts. Don't even need to define a variable. Here's what I'm thinking about. I'm going to mock up a couple examples of this. Just setting up a little test area. Just to show you some different ideas I have about how we could maybe do this. At least the cursor cutaway works with camera rotation. Weird what's happening here. Weird about this. I don't remember which is the actual canonical camera angle here. I think it's this. I might be wrong. It doesn't really matter. So there's a couple of ways that we could do the cutaway here. I'm gonna start just cutting the walls away myself, kind of, to show. So we could do this. So it would kind of be like this. We'd cut away all the walls. In fact, it would actually look like pretty much like this. And then we'd use this shape as a mask as we go up. I'm just wondering what I want to do about walls. I want to get rid of the walls in front of the actual compartment you're looking at, obviously. We want to do that. And we probably need to also do it for like a few walls in front of a compartment. We could also just have some minimal amount of cursor coordinate culling. So like you could have like a block. I can show it in this. So maybe like your cursor's here and it just culls away this small block in front of you no matter what, which would be a 4x4 grid, just to make sure that you can see whatever you're trying to mouse over. So we could let it work like that to an extent and actually just leave most of the walls up. We could hide the foreground walls by default, but not all the interior walls. We can try a bunch of different stuff. I think to an extent we just need to try. We need to get the basic masking part working, and then we can figure out the logic of what to do within the masked space. How to apply it, because we'll apply the mask once at the same Z level of the cursor, and then we'll apply the mask again, but at an offset every level above that to create this kind of tunnel effect. But this should at least give us a mask. I think I know how I want to do the initial run. I'm going to call this cutaway masked box. I'm going call this mask cutaway blocks. That's terrible function naming, but this is temporary. And so we need to actually take the blocks and a mask, and a U-long mask. Or this is mask parts, not the mask itself. The mask itself is the block mask, which is a member variable. So what we're gonna do, we probably still need to know the cursor coordinates. So we might as well. It should also say, oh no, yeah. So we start at, so we can say for variable z equals cursor coords dot z. Okay, we can say int, I guess. Z is greater than or equal to 0. Z minus minus. So we're going to work our way up from Z. So the offset as we go up is that the mask shifts 3 coordinates forward. Every Z level we go up, we go forward, 3 coordinates along X and Y. And that accounts for the perspective shift. So we do this, we can do the same start and end calculation thing. But instead of Z being coords.z, Z is just Z. Here we can say for that. Get the block coordinates. I feel like I want to know the cursor parts. Block, cursor, block. U-long. Hey. E, what's up? How's it going? Been a minute. All right, so now we've got our mask. So we're gonna say if block mask contains not block coords, but a new vector 3i, which is going to be block coords plus you can do it like this. Block coords plus new vector 3i. It's going to be z times 3 oh, it's actually not z times 3. It's cursor coords dot z minus z. Right? Problem is that as we go up in z index, the z actually goes, well, as we go up visually, the z index goes down. So it's the opposite of what I'm thinking. So it's so if we're 3 levels above the cursor coordinate z, then that z is 3 units smaller. Yeah, so it's cursor coords.z minus z, which is the difference. So we do that times 3. And we do that for the x and the y. We could define an offset here. Integer offset. So just so we don't have to do this every time. How have I been? I'm good. We're working on picking a cutaway mechanism that we like, a way of like peering into the 3D ship that provides us the right balance of being able to see enough inside the ship around where you're clicking that you have enough context to understand what's going on in there without just cutting away the whole ship. Like, I don't want to do the whole, like, we slice everything above off, or, you know, we hide everything. Like, we've tried a bunch of different approaches that have either been too tunnel vision like, or they've been too wide. So we're trying to find that sweet spot in between where you can see into this 3D ship without culling the whole thing away, or not culling enough of it away. So we're trying about our 4th attempt or something like that to find a good middle ground. And that's what I'm setting up now. But we have to make some changes before it's ready to go here. Yeah, no worries. I don't expect people to be following along. So offset, 0. Could also just be 1, 1, 1, 1, 0 times offset. So we want to say if the block doesn't contain this coordinate, then we continue. Otherwise, we're going to mark this as a cutaway. Thanks for the hydrate. Smooth in a second. It's a good idea. Oh yeah, we can't use cutaways yet because cutaways is currently a vector 4. We need to change it to be a vector 3. Also, cutaways, why it that's a hash set, right? It's not a dictionary, is it? No, yeah, it's a hash set. So we would actually say, so up here we would need to say cutaways dot clear. No, we'd say cutaways dot add. Right now the cutaway works on a per tile level, but we need to make it work on a per block level. All right, so this part is pretty much set up and should be good. The part where we get the mask and then we apply the mask for the cutaway. The only thing is we need to change some other stuff before this is gonna work. This effing Future Pants song, I swear to God. Listen to this guy. This guy's gonna just start talking about pants. Song. I'm gonna downvote. I'm gonna dislike this song, but I kind of want to hear people hear how ridiculous it is. I swear, any moment now, he's going to start talking about pants.
I guess we all have future pants. They're pants we're going to wear tomorrow. And the next day. And the day after that.
E, you've been trying to pick up Godot. You really like the stream. It's really cool to see a developing project. Thank you. I appreciate that. I probably mentioned it before. We have a Discord full of other Godot devs if you need a resource. If you want somewhere just you want to share your project or ask questions or whatever, it should be on the channel. You might be in there already. I don't know. Anytime anyone mentions any of that, I plug it. I got to plug the Discord, you know, trying to grow the community. But yeah, I appreciate that. I know I kind of use Godot in a weird way. Because I use C# for the simulation layer. So I'm not really interacting with the engine a lot for this part. But we're going to be interacting with the engine a lot more once we're done with some of this underlying tech and we go back to rendering and UI and stuff. It'll probably be much more helpful. Whenever we do a game jam, we also do it in Godot, and we just do it in GDScript and everything. So I don't know when my next game jam is going to be. I'm eyeing one in September. Ever since my unsuccessful Ludum Dare run, I think I want to do another jam before the next Ludum Dare so I can practice scoping a little bit better. So I'm looking at the Down to Jam, the second Down to Jam in September. I think that could be cool. I know that's a while away, but I'm just thinking about it. But yeah, that's cool. I'd be interested in hearing about some of the stuff you've been working on. All right, so right now, here's our backup cutaway system. This is what we're using, which is cutaway tiles by cursor chords. It's like super rudimentary. We still need it because it's the system that's going to work when the cursor is not in a compartment. We still need a cutaway system so that we can cut into like ships under construction and stuff. So we need to figure out how to structure that. I think there needs to be a check here where like we try to do the cutaway by compartment, and then if that fails, we revert to the cutaway by cursor coords. So we need like cutaway blocks by parts mask or something like that. Cutaway blocks by compartment, which I think is already a function. Yeah, that's our old function. That's the one that works on the part hierarchy, which is the one that's like too far. So we are going to get rid of that, wherever that is. I probably should have just clicked on it when I had the chance. Yeah, this. Where's this function? There we go. I'm just going to hide it and make a new one. We'll delete it when we replaced it fully. I guess that's exactly the same as the function I wrote up here. Just cutaway masked blocks. Yeah, maybe we don't actually use this function. You really would like to use C# with Godot. You think Godot 4 does not work with C# if you want to make an HTML5 port. There's currently not a way to export to web with C# Godot 4. You're correct. They are working on it, and they've actually shown a version that works. Oh, the Discord's not available. That's fine. No worries. I'm always happy to talk here. Also, there's an email address that's on my website that reaches me. Or there's comments on the videos and stuff. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool to talk here. Yeah, there may be a solution. It may not be in Godot 4.5, but it may. If it doesn't get into 4.5, it'll probably get into 4.6, I hope, the web export for C#. They recently showed it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. They showed it at GodotCon, which I was at. And then they talked about the web.net prototype here. So here's the web.net prototype. Adam Scott did it. The video's not available yet, but there's this big readout on what's happening. So they're getting there. They're getting there. So yeah, the web support is coming. I don't think there's a hard date. .NET add web export support. Yeah, we're getting there. It's gonna be super cool. All right, so the thing we need to do next, which we're probably going to do tomorrow, is we need to switch the cutaway system from working per tile to being per block. I've explained in the past the difference between a tile and a block, but I can very quickly explain it again. A block, so like this whole thing is a block. So this is the 3D construction of a block, and a block includes like a bulk and a deck, basically like a wall and a floor. The wall might be empty, so it might just be a floor, if it's like an open block and people can like move through it and stuff. But this is a block. A tile are the individual faces that make up the block in the tile map layer. So each of these is a face. And in fact, there's one more face which is not shown, which is this face, which is the face for the floor, which it would be about here. So each block has at least 6 faces, or 6 tiles to render it, because it has the 3 for each floor piece and the 3 for each wall piece, assuming it's a solid block. So right now the cutaway system works per tile for some reasons that aren't great, but they made sense at the time. So that we need to swap over to a system where we designate the cutaway per block, and then when we're generating the tiles, we look at that list of block cutaways, and if our tile layer has like an exception, we can apply the exception. Like if we're rendering a floor tile, like if this block has been marked for cutaway, but there's a floor piece to it, and we're on the same Z layer as the cursor, we probably will still render this floor tile, and we would just cut away the wall. So there is per layer considerations, but I just want to move those considerations out of the cutaway section and into the layer specific tile generation code. So that's probably what we'll do tomorrow. And then hopefully that won't take very long, and we can start testing out our new cutaway system. I know this is a short stream. I really want to get back to like 3-hour streams. We've been averaging 2 hours, which is unacceptable to me. But it's been good. We've been having good viewership. All right, let's find this one error. There's an error in here somewhere. Oh, it's this thing. All right. Oh, we need to finish this cutaway thing too. This is not finished. So this would be... We actually need different behavior for Z equals cursor coords. Oh, I can ban a spammer here real quick. Got a spam bot. Blast them. Oh, there was no sound effect. Or I didn't hear it. What happened? Oh, I can't play any sound. StreamerBot's unable to play sound right now. Why is that? Oh well. That's weird. Yeah, I can't play any. Yeah, I can't play any sound right now.
Your logic was impeccable, Captain.
Okay, I can test it. But I can't play it. Oh, that's concerning. I will try to fix that before the next stream. Oh well. Kind of a weird thing, a weird note to end on. But yeah, I gotta get going for today. We'll finish this cutaway. I'm gonna add a note here to do. Need different behavior for cursor chords dot z equals z. We should probably just do that before we go into the loop. Unless we want to do this at the tile level. I don't know. We'll see. All right. This has been fun. I'm going to play myself out. My little accordion or whatever this is. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. Hopefully a longer stream. Yeah. Till then, hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.